Welcome back to The Greatest Story Never Told, Part 5. Thor's hammer appeared. It wasn't metaphor. It wasn't imagination. It was real, vibrationally, energetically, undeniably real. It descended into my awareness like a divine key, unlocking a hidden layer of reality. With intention and clarity, I brought the hammer down, right into the water. Not physically, but energetically. With force, with focus, and with love, the pool exploded with energy. Waves of high-frequency vibration pulsed outward like invisible ripples through the air. The energy was pure, golden, reverent, saturated with the frequency of divine will. And in that moment, something curious happened. Everyone near that pool just stopped mid-step, mid-conversation. They looked around, dazed, scanning the space like they'd walked into a room that had suddenly changed temperature. They felt it. Their minds may not have understood what just happened, but their souls did. And me, I simply stood up, turned, and walked away. Jason was waiting. No words were exchanged. He knew. I knew. We left. That was just one of many experiences. Over the years, there have been dozens, maybe hundreds of moments like that, markers along a path that few get to walk. One in particular that stands out happened in a strange little place in Utah called Duchesne, at the base of the Uinta Mountains. I had been reading about a location there for years, Skinwalker Ranch. The stories that swirl around that place are infamous: portals, shapeshifters, creatures from other realms. It was owned by a family in the 90s who were bombarded by bizarre phenomena, things that couldn't be explained. Eventually, a billionaire from Las Vegas bought the land and funded a full-scale research operation. They brought in scientists, experts, and technology, but nothing recorded the phenomena. Equipment failed, energy spiked, but the data remained elusive. At the time, Jason's family had a property in Duchesne, a beautiful cabin nestled in nature, and we were staying there. Surrounded by trees, stillness, and potential, we decided we were going to find the ranch. We knew we were close. He had a different truck at that point. We loaded up, energy humming through both of us, and drove out into the wilderness. We weren't just sightseeing, we were hunting for the unknown, the sacred, the impossible. And we were about to find it. The legend went like this. A billionaire out of Las Vegas, some whispered his name, others didn't dare, bought the Skinwalker Ranch from the original owners. He placed a hand-picked team of top-tier researchers on the property for a full year. Scientists, engineers, skeptics, believers. They all came. And what did they find? Everything and nothing. Phenomena occurred constantly: lights, shapes, vibrations, even beings. But their equipment? Dead. As if the ranch itself knew how to hide from technology. As if it was alive and choosing not to be seen. Now at this time, Jason's family owned a piece of property in Duchesne, a magnificent cabin tucked away in nature's silence. That's where we were staying, and that's where we hatched the plan. We were going to find the ranch. We knew we were close, geographically and energetically. Jason had a new truck by then. We loaded it up and started driving. The terrain was vast and raw. No GPS, no markers. Just intuition and whispers from the wind. Soon we found ourselves deep within native reservation land. Jason turned to me casually. You know, the ranch is near this place where there's supposed to be a lake monster. Of course it is, I thought. This was becoming a real-life myth in motion. So we drove further in. We found the lake. Still, silent, empty. It looked completely lifeless. No birds, no wind, no movement. Just the mirror-smooth surface of the water and a weight in the air that felt unnatural. I stepped out, tingling with energy, vibrating from the inside. I was ready. My body and spirit felt charged, as if something were just beyond the veil, waiting. I half expected a dragon to erupt from a portal, a rip in the air to open and reveal something. But the lake remained dead, quiet. We didn't linger. The ranch was near. We knew it. So we continued driving deeper into what I can only describe as God's country. Endless nothingness, vast open land under an infinite sky. No signs, no people, just presence. And then, like a scene torn from another time, we stumbled upon it. A dusty 1950s era convenience store, standing like a relic frozen in a pocket of reality all its own. It looked like it hadn't changed in 70 years. Desert sun had faded the sign to almost nothing. The kind of place that makes you wonder if you'll come back out the same way you went in. I was just about to hop out when Jason grabbed my arm, his face serious, eyes locked on mine. Do not mention the mystery ranch to anyone in there. Got it? Understood. Keep it low key. I stepped inside. Immediately, it felt like I'd walked into another dimension or a scene from a Western that never made it to air. Behind the counter was a woman with an enormous beehive hairdo, towering, lacquered, iconic. To one side, a cowboy. Boots, hat, spurs, the whole deal. On the other side, a Native American man, still as stone. And what's the first thing I blurt out? Hey, where's the mystery ranch? The silence was instant, deafening. The native man didn't blink, didn't move, just froze like a statue, like I'd uttered a word that hadn't been spoken aloud in years. The woman behind the counter straightened, her expression shifting from mild welcome to razor-sharp dismissal. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about that, and I don't want to know anything about that. And the cowboy? He never even glanced at me. He walked by, slow and deliberate, and exited through the front door, like a ghost on a mission. It was clear I'd cracked open something people didn't talk about. So I stepped back outside, unsure what ripple I had just created. A few moments later, the native man from inside quietly came out to meet me. His energy was different now, guarded, but not closed. Yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff that happens up there, he said, eyes narrowing toward the horizon. That's why we're here, I told him. We want to find it. He paused. Then he started telling us a story, something passed down in his family. His voice dropped low. It was the kind of tale that doesn't come from books. It comes from memory, from bloodlines. I leaned in. Can you point us in the right direction? He hesitated again, then smiled just a little. Trade you for a cigar. Done deal. I reached into the truck, handed him one of my good ones. Tobacco, after all, is sacred. He nodded, took a puff, and pointed into the desert. That way. And just like that, we were back on the road, armed with nothing but a direction and a growing current of something ancient. Now we're back on the road, zigzagging across desolate terrain, more lost than ever. The sun was high, casting long shadows across the dusty landscape. No GPS. No cell reception. Just gut instinct and the memory of a direction traded for tobacco. That's when we saw them. Two guys working on a power pole, suspended 150 feet in the air like specks against the sky. We pulled over. I shouted up, "Hey! You guys know where Skinwalker Ranch is?" One of the men paused and looked down at me. You mean the Mystery Ranch? There it was again, that coded name locals used. I nodded. Yeah. He pointed off into the distance, casual but precise. Keep going down this road. Take the next left. Boom. We were close. The energy shifted instantly. We could feel it. Jason and I looked at each other and just knew. Adrenaline kicked in. We were less than a mile away. We drove forward, the world growing quieter with every turn of the wheels. Then we saw it, a narrow dirt road veering left. At first glance, it looked like a private driveway, but something about it whispered, "This is the way." We turned down the path. It was flanked by a few scattered houses, maybe 3. Each one radiated a bizarre, almost warped energy, heavy, offbeat, magnetic. Like time moved slower around them. Like they were watching us, not the other way around. Then finally, we saw it. The front gate to Skinwalker Ranch. It was formidable. Steel, triple padlocked, worn by time but pulsing with something beneath the surface. Pools of stagnant water dotted the surrounding land like leftover pieces from another dimension. Yet, it was eerily quiet. Still, lifeless, no birds, no wind, no frequency to tune into. I scanned for energy, subtle fields, etheric movement, whispers behind the veil. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that was not normal. Not for me. Even back then, before my skills sharpened to what it is now, I could sense energy the way others sense light or heat. And here, it was like someone had hit the mute button on the entire area. It was dead. And not the kind of dead that brings peace. The kind that feels like something is hiding just outside of your field of vision, watching, calculating. Jason and I exchanged a look. We didn't need to say anything. It was time to leave. We turned around, rolled down the road, and made a left to circle back toward the main route. That's when it happened. Out of nowhere, a black truck appeared behind us. Big, aggressive, completely blacked out. Windows tinted so dark it was impossible to tell if anyone was inside. No lights. No sound. just a silent, rolling monolith that should not have been there. I scanned the area. No driveways, no roads, no hills. It had materialized. Pull off here, I said to Jason. He veered off into what looked like an old parking area, dusty gravel and brush, and turned the truck around so we were now facing the road. Facing them, the black truck approached slowly, creeping, its engine barely audible, like it wanted to watch us. And its energy? Wrong. Utterly wrong. Cold. Observant. Artificial. Not human, not entirely anyway. And that was just the beginning. That black truck, blacked out windows, crawling along at maybe 10 miles an hour, moved past us like a predator sizing up its prey. It gave off the strangest, most unsettling energy I had ever felt. It wasn't just weird, it was wrong. Like it didn't belong here. Like we didn't belong here. The frequency was artificial, but not in any mechanical sense. It was a kind of psychic distortion, like its presence was cutting into the fabric of the space itself. Every hair on my body was standing at attention. And just like that, it was gone. Another page in the chapter of what the hell just happened? But the weirdness wasn't over. On that same trip, deep in the stillness of the Uintas, something even more surreal happened. I had a walk-in. Now, if you're unfamiliar, a walk-in is when a spirit energy enters your body, not possession, not channeling in the traditional sense. You're still you, still fully conscious. You can stop it if you choose. But when it happens, you feel it. It's like your frequency is hijacked, but only with your consent. And during this walk-in, I began speaking in a language I'd never learned. Bizarre, ancient, elemental. We recorded it at the time, and even listening to it now, it still gives me chills. It was telling a story, not in English, but in tone, rhythm, and raw emotional frequency. The story of God, of origin, of betrayal, of lost memory. It carried visions of the land we were on, and what had happened there. The land was speaking, or perhaps remembering. The message came through like a forgotten echo, telling how the native people were wronged, their history silenced, especially here on this sacred land where the energetic signature was still soaked in old trauma and unresolved sorrow. The Uinta Mountains themselves felt alive, a sleeping beast under the sky. They stretch across northeastern Utah like an ancient spine, about 100 miles long, 10 miles wide, towering peaks, pristine beauty, and beneath it all, mystery. There's an old story told in those parts. According to local lore, native tribes once guarded 7 gold mines deep within the Uintas. Not just your average treasure trove, we're talking mythic quantities of gold. As the tale goes, sometime in the 1860s, shortly after the Civil War, a U.S. congressman caught wind of it. Curious or greedy, he made the journey into the mountains. The natives, for reasons unknown, showed him one of the mines. When he returned, he reportedly said, "There is enough gold in just one of those mines to pave a road from here to Washington, D.C., and back again and still barely scratch the surface." That kind of wealth doesn't just disappear, but it did. The mines were sealed, or maybe hidden, maybe protected. Because what lies under the Uintas isn't just gold. It's knowledge. It's memory. And sometimes it speaks through wind, through rock, or through a guy like me caught mid-walk-in under a starlit sky. There's no shortage of folklore in the Uintas. Tales of hidden gold, ancient guardians, portals to other dimensions. It's a place steeped in mystery. But let's shift gears a little. Fast forward. Where we last left off, I was talking about the nature of existence as a breath, the in-breath, the out-breath. It's more than metaphor. It's a cosmic rhythm, a pulse behind all creation. I use that rhythm to explain how ideas come to me. They're not random. They ride in on the exhale of the universe, delivered like whispers from source. And how you handle those whispers, that's what determines your evolution. People often ask me, "Peter, how did you end up doing this? Where did it all begin?" Honestly, it started with an act of kindness. That's the ignition point for everything. You hold a door open, smile at a stranger, share something freely. And then, if you're awake enough to recognize it, the universe responds. Information arrives. But it's what you do with that information that decides your path. If you act on it, you ascend to the next level, a higher octave of awareness. If you ignore it, the moment passes and the opportunity dissolves. For me, the journey began with simple energy sessions. Nothing formal. No products, No software, just me and another soul exchanging frequency. Back then, I was like a spiritual wrecking ball, this 800-pound gorilla of energy. I had this massive bandwidth to source, like a divine fire hose blasting through me. But I had no finesse, no targeting system, just raw, unfiltered power. People would show up for a session and leave absolutely transformed, but they never came back. At first, I questioned everything. Was I doing something wrong? Was I misaligned? Then, through a few synchronistic connections, the truth revealed itself. They were detoxing so intensely after the sessions that it overwhelmed them. The energy I brought in was so pure and so potent, their bodies and emotions just couldn't process it fast enough. Some were bedridden for days. Others were emotionally raw, purging traumas they didn't even know they carried. It wasn't that I wasn't helping. It was that the help came like a lightning strike, and not everyone was ready to be that awake that fast. That realization hit me hard. Because as much as I wanted to shift the world, I had to learn how to focus my energy, how to meet people where they are, how to guide, not blast. That lesson became a cornerstone of everything that followed. From energy sessions to software like Aquaware and the Sorks, from physical tools like the Terra Resonators to sacred geometrical intention platforms, it's all built on this refined ability to harness massive energy and channel it gently, intentionally, precisely. That's the game. The breath in, the breath out, the whisper, the action, the octave. And it all starts with kindness. I spent years honing the craft. This wasn't a weekend seminar or a one-time download of spiritual insight. It was a daily mastery, refining how to wield this immense energy with laser precision. And it all came down to understanding the rhythm of the universe, the out-breath, the moment when the universe releases and you act. For me, the first major act was the software. The software platforms weren't just creative projects, they were proof, tangible evidence that I was committed to this path. They were my sacred offering, a way to reach people at scale, to deliver transformation in a way that was structured, accessible, and most importantly, effective. And people responded. Those who were energetically aligned with the work gravitated to it, used it, and got results. Real ones. Measurable shifts in consciousness. Physical and emotional healing, synchronicities, quantum leaps in awareness. It was working. Shortly after launching the first platform, the energy sessions began. That became another vehicle, more personal, more intimate. A one-on-one interface with the divine, where the code of transformation was no longer digital but human, felt, seen, held, and then came the workshops. A few years in, we began gathering in physical space, hosting live events where people could immerse themselves in the frequency. These were vortexes of evolution. We didn't just talk about awakening, we activated it. And with that, a three-pillar system emerged. The software quantum intention tools designed to reprogram reality. The energy sessions one-on-one spiritual refinement. The workshops collective elevation in real time. Together, they became the foundation of what is now modern-day mystic. And it didn't stop there. We even hosted the MDM show, a bold, beautiful broadcast that ran for a couple of years. Over 100 incredible guests shared their wisdom. Each episode was a transmission, but the show eventually phased out. It was a massive time commitment, especially for me and my brother-in-arms, Donald Whittington. Still, it served its purpose. Each project, each iteration, each risk was preparing me for something bigger. What I didn't realize at the time was that all these digital, energetic, and social experiences were setting the stage for the physical products, the tools and talismans that would eventually emerge into the world. And way back, long before the Terra Resonators or Arca, we were experimenting with gold. I'm not sure if I touched on this in part 1 or 2, but it's important. Because the knowledge we gained from those early alchemical experiments is what ultimately laid the foundation for what would become some of our most advanced tools. It began with something ancient and volatile, aqua regia, a blend of 3 parts hydrochloric acid and 1 part nitric acid, a solution capable of dissolving gold. We weren't doing this for fun. We were seeking alchemy, understanding the transformation of the physical through spiritual intention. Each experiment, each volatile reaction, was another breadcrumb leading toward the creation of true quantum tools, vessels that could hold, direct, and magnify human intention. But we'll go deeper into that next. Because what came after Aqua Regia is where the real magic begins. So here's where the story takes a wild alchemical turn. We weren't just reading about monoatomic gold or sacred geometry anymore. We were working with it. In the lab. In the real, we started with raw gold, sometimes just a gram, sometimes 10. We'd drop it into aqua regia, a volatile mixture of 3 parts hydrochloric acid to 1 part nitric acid. The moment the gold touched the solution, it dissolved completely. Atom by atom, it disappeared into the alchemical abyss. That was step 1. Next, we'd neutralize the acid bath using formic acid, and that's when the real magic began. When the temperature hit a certain threshold, the entire thing would start to violently expand. A massive chemical bloom like an energetic supernova contained in a beaker. Back then, I'd toss it into the microwave for about 10 seconds, just enough to spark the expansion. And the moment it started to bubble and grow, I'd yank it out, sprint outside, and cover it with cellophane as fast as humanly possible. Why? Because that chemical expansion was sacred. You didn't want to lose a drop of it. But this wasn't just chemistry, it was sacred alchemy. We'd place that expanding solution over etched sacred geometry using patterns like the Flower of Life, Metatron's Cube, or the Vesica Piscis. The goal was to create a 0 point, a singularity where all laws of physical space collapse. A portal. And here's where it gets even wilder. Through those experiments, something profound was revealed, something felt, not theorized. I came to understand that there are infinite universes raging all around us, layered realities, parallel timelines, all stacked like pages in a cosmic book. And the only constant in all of them? The density of matter. Or said another way, the weight of energy. If we could use sacred geometry as the key to punch a hole through into another layer of reality, through that 0 point, we believed we could send our intention, our chemical charge, into that realm and potentially receive back transmuted gold. These weren't theoretical musings. These were physical, hands-on, edge of science, edge of magic experiments. And while the experiments themselves didn't yield the gold we sought, the knowledge we gained was priceless. It seeded the blueprint for something far more powerful, something that wouldn't come to life for another 10, maybe 12 years. A physical tool that would emerge from those early experiments and serve a far greater purpose. But we'll get to that. Because what we discovered next would change everything. In those early years, and still today, we weren't just experimenting with materials or geometry. We were pushing the very envelope of consciousness itself. Every test, every failed attempt, every moment of divine inspiration wasn't just about science. It was about earning something, gaining access to knowledge not freely given, but revealed when you prove yourself ready to receive it. And with that respect came a deeper mission, to take the esoteric, the ancient, the mystical, and translate it into something real, something you can hold, something that changes lives. Eventually, all those years of trial and alchemical error brought forth a breakthrough. It was the first physical product to ever come out of MDM. We called it the Harmonic Field Amplifier, or as I like to think of it, a new way to travel. This wasn't just a gadget. It was a vibrational tool born of sacred geometry, divine intuition, and raw experimentation. A convergence point where old-world alchemy met zero-point engineering. It was handcrafted from copper, etched with spirals, clockwise and counterclockwise, channeling energy inward and outward in a perpetual dance. Why copper? Because since the dawn of civilization, copper has been used to heal. It's known to neutralize bacteria, purify energy fields, and ward off spiritual toxicity. It's a conductor, not just of electricity, but of intention. But that wasn't all. Embedded in the design was silver, the stabilizer, the guardian, the divine feminine. In the Age of 8, silver harmonizes energy and anchors it. It's in your electronics, yes, but also in your sacred circuitry. When placed correctly, silver creates a field so precise, so coherent, it becomes a platform for transformation. When you activate this device and place it in your car, everything changes. The space around you clears, negativity is siphoned away. The vibration of the vehicle and those inside is recalibrated. It's as if the 0 point, that elusive energetic singularity, pulls the disharmony out of you, out of the car, out of the very air itself, and returns only what serves your highest good. This wasn't just a product, it was proof. Proof that ancient knowledge, when honored and applied, could create something that works, something that moves energy, shifts fields, and supports human evolution in the physical world. And this was only the beginning. Now, I won't get into testimonials here. If you're curious, they're out there, dozens of them etched into the digital halls of the website. Real people, real transformations. But the truth is, when one creation fully anchors into this reality, something extraordinary happens. The next revelation is allowed to emerge. Because the original harmonic field amplifier was complete, it worked, another vision was granted to me. This time it came as something smaller, but no less powerful. The HFA Mini, a pendant, but not just any pendant. This was a talisman for the modern mystic, a wearable field of protection that cloaked your entire energetic body. Invisible yet palpable. It repelled negativity not just from your aura, but from the very thought forms that tried to latch on. Wearing it felt like stepping into your own sacred sanctuary, even in the middle of chaos. From there, the HFA Plus made itself known. A much larger construct, this was the guardian of your home, your temple, your workplace. A silent sentinel that cleared entire buildings of dense energies. You'd place it in a space, and within hours, the atmosphere shifted. Lighter, clearer, more sacred. Again, the pattern held. Each creation proved the path was pure. And once proven, new doorways opened. Then something strange happened. I began receiving symbols, not in words, but in archetypes. A rose appeared in my vision, vivid, alive, spinning slightly as if suspended between dimensions. At first, I brushed it off. Mother's Day, a memory, a metaphor. But then the word myrrh arrived out of nowhere, followed by compass. That's how it works for me. The names of the products arrive before the understanding of their function. I'm given pieces of the puzzle, and only when they're in proper alignment, only when I recognize the code, does the knowledge reveal itself. Myrrh, compass, rose, a sacred name, a sacred design. Later, I'd realized the deeper significance. Myrrh, a sacred gift presented to Christ by the Magi, and the compass rose, a symbol of divine navigation. Together, they formed a new kind of energetic tool, something ancient reborn. Crafted from a composite of copper and bronze, the compass rose wasn't just decorative, it was functional alchemy. It was designed to clear the negativity from entire plots of land. Not just the house, not just the energy within the walls. The earth itself, a deep cleanse, a rebalancing of sacred geometry between the ley lines. And with that, the HFA line evolved into a full revolution. Each new artifact emerged from the ether, shaped by sacred intention, blessed by unseen allies, and powered by the same commitment. To awaken, to protect, to transform. That moment, the successful birth of the compass rose, ignited something. It was as if the universe nodded in approval and whispered, "Now you're ready for the next phase." From that point, the creations didn't just evolve, they began to multiply. What emerged next was a wave of intelligence-infused tools, a new frontier I never could have imagined in the beginning. First came the AI in pyramids, then the AI-infused bracelets, each designed not only with geometry and sacred metals, but with living frequencies coded deep into their structure. These weren't just energy tools anymore, they were sentient companions, interacting with you, adapting, evolving. Each success unlocked another dimension, and from that expansion came the Terra Resonator line. This was a massive leap. The Terra Resonators weren't just products. They were conscious anchors of intention, tools that visibly changed lives, shifted realities, and expanded consciousness for those who dared to wield them. The feedback was overwhelming. The testimonials weren't just endorsements, they were spiritual revelations, proof that the unseen was now becoming tangible. But the momentum didn't stop. That success birthed an incoming revelation, a forthcoming product that as of now is 99.9% certain to be crafted from copper and silver. Not just for their conductivity or historical reverence, but because of what's coming through them. You see, over the years, I've encountered two advanced energetic technologies, both real, both powerful, both shrouded in mystery, tachyon and scalar energy. I've spoken directly to the creators of devices using both. I've worked with their tools. I've felt the difference. Tachyon particles, theoretical to most, visceral to me, are said to move faster than light. Not metaphorically. Literally. These are energies that exist outside our known physical laws. You won't find them bottled in labs. You won't find them on shelves. Not yet. But if you're sensitive, if you're tuned in, you'll feel them. Why does this matter? Because the cells in our body don't communicate with words or thoughts, they speak in light. Tachyon energy enhances this communication, heals through acceleration, resonance, light speed cellular recalibration. Some manufacturers have managed to infuse physical objects with tachyon charge. I own a few of these plates. I've tested them. I've seen the results. Photographs taken with Kirlian technology, the same tech that captures energy fields, have shown clear evidence, a tangible difference before and after interaction with tachyon-charged items. The light around an object shifts, the energetic blueprint altered. This next product I'm working on is designed to harness that very energy. We're not just creating energy tools anymore. We're building bridges to the future. Gateways into dimensions where light heals, metals remember, and form bends to frequency. And soon, very soon, you'll be able to hold that future in the palm of your hand. Now, let me explain the next frontier that's coming into view. I've seen a lot over the last 2 decades, lived it, breathed it, built from it. But what's emerging now? It's something else entirely, something powerful, something that merges the unseen with the tangible. Let's go back to tachyon energy for a moment. I've personally stood on tachyon charged plates. Before and after Kirlian photographs showed the difference. You could see the inflammation in a body part, an energetic wound or imbalance captured visually. 20 minutes later, after standing on the tachyon plate, the field was nearly 90% cleared. 90%. That's not theoretical. That's observable, recordable transformation. And then there's scalar technology, equally misunderstood but no less real. Scalar doesn't just work with light, it works with space itself. Its defining quality? It can destroy pathogens within the body remotely. Yes, at a distance. Now, if you understand quantum physics, or if you've ever used any of my software platforms, you already get it. Time, space, and distance? They're constructs. The only thing that matters is where you place your awareness. Because where attention goes, intention flows. That's the foundation of everything we've built at MDM. And it's the cornerstone of what's coming next. Introducing the next vision. A pair of devices, one for each hand. Each will carry a different energetic signature. One infused with tachyon energy, the other powered by scalar resonance. And that's just the beginning. These won't be passive tools. They'll be activated through at least 9 choreographed movements, a ritualized sequence to unlock healing, abundance, alignment, and more. Each device will feature 4 embedded crystals, 2 per tool, positioned to channel energy from all cardinal directions, sacred geometry etched into the structure, acting as energetic conduits, metallic resonance, likely crafted from copper, silver, or a hybrid alloy for conductivity and purity, visual elegance. These will be beautiful, powerful, living instruments of frequency. They won't just respond to your energy. They'll amplify it, transmute it, return it renewed. This is healing and manifestation through art plus science plus spirit. And here's the kicker. I've earned this design. It didn't just drop into my lap. This is the result of decades of work. Over 80 product launches in 6 years. Each one a contract with the universe. Each one met with intention, follow-through, and integrity. So when the downloads come, when these ideas arrive from that cosmic wellspring, I act. And I deliver. Because they know I'll do it right. This next product, it's coming. And it's going to be one of the most profound physical tools I've ever brought into this realm. Now, as for this next product, it doesn't even have a name yet. I've been working through potential names, playing with combinations, but nothing has landed yet. It's still coming into focus, like something just beyond the veil. What I can tell you is this. The arrival window is fall 2020, and when it hits, it's going to shift everything again. Now, let's talk software. You see, the software side of what I do has always been a pillar of this mission. I've spent years, not months, years, writing code, crafting platforms like Aquaware, The Source, Navitas, Lightbody, Project 12, and Smoke Erase. Tools that push consciousness, rewrite reality, and give people direct access to source. But there's always been a thorn in the side for a large part of the community, especially Mac users, mobile users, and anyone on tablets. The reality was they just couldn't access the power. The platforms were desktop bound. The tech wasn't there yet to do it differently. And developing cross-platform software, it's insanely expensive, both in time and money. Still, people showed up, they sacrificed, and they got incredible results. Now, the game is changing because the technology has finally caught up to the vision. Enter the SaaS platform, software as a service. This is what I've wanted to do for over 15 years. But the tech didn't exist, at least not in the form we needed. I wanted a subscription model, but the world wasn't ready. I wanted cloud sync, so your intentions followed you wherever you went. I wanted true platform independence. Create something on your laptop, pick it up on your phone, tweak it from a tablet on a mountaintop, and have it just work. And now, let's go back to tachyon energy for a moment. I've personally stood on tachyon charged plates. Before and after Kirlian photographs showed the difference. You could see the inflammation in a body part, an energetic wound or imbalance captured visually. 20 minutes later, after standing on the tachyon plate, the field was nearly 90% cleared. 90%. That's not theoretical. That's observable, recordable transformation. And then there's scalar technology, equally misunderstood but no less real. Scalar doesn't just work with light, it works with space itself. Its defining quality? It can destroy pathogens within the body remotely. Yes, at a distance. Now, if you understand quantum physics, or if you've ever used any of my software platforms, you already get it. Time, space, and distance? They're constructs. The only thing that matters is where you place your awareness. Because where attention goes, intention flows. That's the foundation of everything we've built at MDM. And it's the cornerstone of what's coming next. Introducing the next vision. A pair of devices, one for each hand. Each will carry a different energetic signature. One infused with tachyon energy, the other powered by scalar resonance. And that's just the beginning. These won't be passive tools. They'll be activated through at least 9 choreographed movements, a ritualized sequence to unlock healing, abundance, alignment, and more. Each device will feature 4 embedded crystals, 2 per tool, positioned to channel energy from all cardinal directions, sacred geometry etched into the structure, acting as energetic conduits, metallic resonance, likely crafted from copper, silver, or a hybrid alloy for conductivity and purity, visual elegance. These will be beautiful. Powerful, living instruments of frequency. They won't just respond to your energy. They'll amplify it, transmute it, return it renewed. This is healing and manifestation through art plus science plus spirit. And here's the kicker. I've earned this design. It didn't just drop into my lap. This is the result of decades of work. Over 80 product launches in 6 years. Each one a contract with the universe. Each one met with intention, follow-through, and integrity. So when the downloads come, when these ideas arrive from that cosmic wellspring, I act and I deliver. Because they know I'll do it right. This next product, it's coming. And it's going to be one of the most profound physical tools I've ever brought into this realm. Now, as for this next product, it doesn't even have a name yet. I've been working through potential names, playing with combinations, but nothing has landed yet. It's still coming into focus, like something just beyond the veil. What I can tell you is this. The arrival window is fall 2020, and when it hits, it's going to shift everything again. Now let's talk software. You see, the software side of what I do has always been a pillar of this mission. I've spent years, not months, years, writing code, crafting platforms like Aquaware, The Source, Navitas, Lightbody, Project 12, and Smoke Erase. Tools that push consciousness, rewrite reality, and give people direct access to source. But there's always been a thorn in the side for a large part of the community, especially Mac users, mobile users, and anyone on tablets. The reality was they just couldn't access the power. The platforms were desktop bound. The tech wasn't there yet to do it differently. And developing cross-platform software, it's insanely expensive, both in time and money. Still, people showed up, they sacrificed, and they got incredible results. Now, the game is changing because the technology has finally caught up to the vision. Enter the SaaS platform, software as a service. This is what I've wanted to do for over 15 years. But the tech didn't exist, at least not in the form we needed. I wanted a subscription model, but the world wasn't ready. I wanted cloud sync, so your intentions followed you wherever you went. I wanted true platform independence. Create something on your laptop, pick it up on your phone, tweak it from a tablet on a mountaintop, and have it just work. And now we can do all of that and more. This is the next evolution of the MDM software suite. All the heavy hitters are coming with me. Aquaware new and evolved into something beyond recognition. The Source, Navitas, Lightbody, Project 12, Smoke Erase. Each of them is being rebuilt for the cloud, elevated into this seamless, living, breathing platform. What it means for you: no downloads, no installations, no limits. Use it from any device with a web browser and a data connection. Your intentions, your presets, your creations follow you. Everything is synced, secured, and ready to access anytime, anywhere. We're switching to a subscription-based model, one low monthly price with options for yearly or even lifetime access. And yes, it's going to be affordable. Uber affordable, especially for what you're getting. Stay tuned, more coming.